Hello, 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 everybody. Before we start, I would like to talk about up and coming content. It's Christmas time. The post and killer concepts and things like that aren't going to be happening during Christmas. So, that means that the creation reviews time slot that is available, as well as my other series slash whatever time slot, are all going to be available, and it's all going to be clear because I have nothing else planned time slot wise. I mean, I might play Phoenix Point or something like that, but eh. I've beat Phoenix Point 3 times. I was one of the guys that bought the super big pack when it's coming out. Phoenix Point's just another XCOM. If I did a Phoenix Point playthrough, it would take me a long amount of time, and I would have to break it up into multiple sessions. I mean, I could probably speed run the game because I've played, so much of it, but I haven't played the last two expansion packs, so I don't know what exactly's been added in since I played it last. But anyway, long story short, that particular both of the time slots are going to be empty. So, if you don't hear from old Q for a while, just assume that I guess I'm on a mini vacation or something. I don't know. I would love to still get on and still do reviews and things like that, but as you can see, besides the, design your own perk and challenges that behavior has, that has, a decent amount, there's one, two. Already went over that last night. Already went over that. 3, 4, and 5. 5 other things to cover. After that, that's the end. So, even if I spread it out and cover one thing a day, 2 or so things might be added between that, I'd still run out way before past New Year's and all of that. So, channel might be going dark. Or, I might decide to stream Rocket League, Dead by Daylight, or any gaming that I do with friends. I might stream that instead. Might pick up a new series, might not, may or may not. But keep in mind that if I stop doing reviews for a while, I might not come back. I might find something else to do, take more college classes, etc., etc. I may or may not be back. So just keep that in mind. If I go dark and I stay dark for a significant amount of time, I probably won't be back till, well, I think about this next. So it could be, beginning year, it could be mid-year, it could be end of next year, it could be never. And I'm just gonna be honest with you and put it out there. It's a fun thing to do. I've met some cool people. I've met some hot-headed people. I've met some irate people. I've met some terrible people. But for the most part, everybody's been decent in the end. So I would love to continue on and keep building up my repertoire of people when I'm doing these reviews. And then, if we ever do manage to push that goal and get recognized by behavior on this game or another game or something like that, I can then extend my connection open. And as I'm doing reviews, people that actually, put a lot of time and a lot of care into their actual concepts, that take the time to explain it and really want their stuff implemented into the game, I'd be able to, forward, very good creations that, blow you away to somebody in behavior. And they can be like, hey, man, it's a good concept or all of that. Or, nah, man, we're not looking for that right now. But this becomes a way to, get your foot in the door towards behavior. If that don't work, maybe we can go in opposite direction and start, like I said, not a podcast, but sort of like a group of reviewers. Anybody that has differing opinions from me in reviews, put us all on a board, have us talk, for the most part, peacefully, about things, hey, I agree that this is this and that, but I don't agree that. And we can have like 5 people on the board, all of us in a conference call, start on our own channels, squad stream on Twitch, dual stream on YouTube or whatever, and start a little group going where we all get together and we state our, different opinions. It's going to be scuff at first, but I mean, we could become an information board. And if we get popular enough, and we can control the flow of what people want to see and things like that, then we could still get a foot in the door that way. So instead of waiting and asking nicely, we can do something to get recognition. And even if they don't want to extend us a foot in the door, we still have a large amount of control over, what can and cannot be implemented into the game. Or let's say what's wise and what's unwise to be implemented into a game. And if you build up that reputation and all of that, and you have a couple of million people following you, I'm pretty sure behavior would take note of that. It would be weird of them to say, nah, we're not going to listen to people that control the public's opinion. We don't listen to influencers. It would be very weird of them to do something, just straight out there. They always have the right to, but it'd just be weird. So we are still trying to build up a repertoire, keep trying to get people together, still, build up community on all of us that are posting reviews, trying to make our reviews and, people's killers perks and survivors perks balance, keep them legit, keep them straight, keep everything happy. And that is what we are looking for. At the end of the day, all of us just wants to see Dead by Daylight go on longer. We don't want it to see it, it die at a dead end because it's unable to, change or update its engine or anything like that, or it's impossible to, sustain when newer, advanced games come out. We generally have the best interest at hand. That's why we're taking time out of our days and our lives to create these creations. Now, what I'd hope to see sometime, once I get a little bit more influence, I want to see collaborations between different people. Because there's a lot of people that have an amazing idea, but how they try to implement it generally ends up not being correct, and that's what breaks the entire deal of the character that they're picturing in their mind. But if you take somebody that has a great idea, you take a reviewer that can keep things for the most part balanced, and then you can take somebody that, has the creativity to run with that particular idea. But the person that's creative, that has the writing ability and the ability to make everything look good and all of that, and you slam it all together and make one, fantastic sandwich of content, as opposed to everybody going their own ways and you have conflicting ideas every other post of the same things coming back to back to back to back. I don't know. that's just future plans of the channel. Today, I think I'm going to be doing the last little bit of things that are here. Besides, all of these. This is be ridiculous to try to do. But yeah, I'm gonna cover the rest of these. 5 pages. Jesus Christ. Or is that 5 new? No, I think that's 5 pages worth of everything on the psychopath. Woo. But I'm gonna go through the rest of this. Keep in mind what I say as a suggestion. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, like I said, just kinda let the water go under the bridge and just let it continue on. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into super huge detail because, like I said, this is kind of a end of the road type thing. Generally, you'd be like, "Hey Q, well, since it's the last thing, you should take like 5 hours on each concept and make them perfect." No, sir. I'm gonna go through, see what's up, see what's shaking, and then I'm gonna bounce. And then creation reviews will probably be resumed back when people have the time to actually make, creations. As of now, with Christmas and everything else, holidays, peak seasons for somebody, overtime from other people, holiday pay for other people, spending time with families, limited but still able to be traveling, things like that. Nobody has time to sit down and make these reviews. So, on that note, let us start. Hey, what's going on, Galanonim? Always nice to see you stopping by. I was literally just about to start. So we have a perk idea. Crusa's Curse by that lich. Killer perk. I think it's Crusa. Crusa? Creusa? Creusa? Sounds about right. Creusa's Curse. The icon is apparently a hex totem with burning eyes, the skull wearing a spiked crown. So it's a lich. I like how you did that. Just finished my school project and saw a YouTube notification. Heck yeah, man. Make sure you double check it and make sure it's absolutely perfect. Blow them all away. But I didn't manage to finish my chapter idea. Maybe next week. Tell you what, I will be looking out for it as I take my break here. And whenever I see it pop, I will do your idea. And I will do anybody else's idea that posted. Because as of now, everything's dried up on the creation forum. It's a sad thing to see. But take your time. You got all the time in the world to put out another creation for everybody to see. I mean, honestly, there probably won't be any more creations posted for the most part till after New Year's. Yeah, it's kind of sad. But if people ain't posting creations, that means they're out doing important things, spending time with families or doing holiday things or working or, bettering their life and supplementing their lifestyle. So it's also a good thing. Crusoe's Curse, a gift that burned in the face of love, of jealousy, of a woman scorned. The memory of this curse ignites all dull totems on the map. For 120 seconds at the start of the trial, covering your hexes in a veil of fire. The survivor attempts to cleanse a totem affected by Creusa's Curse. They are stunned for 2 seconds. If that totem was a real hex totem, the survivor's aura is revealed to the killer for 4 seconds. So, this particular perk idea is only usable if you get a terrible spawn hex totem wise, or if you're running just a whole bunch of different hexes. But if you're running a whole bunch of different hexes, then you also have the notion of running just 4 different hexes as opposed to Crusa's Curse, which you can still lose your particular hex totem. I'm gonna make something to eat. Gonna be right back. Yeah, I'm cooking something too, man. I understand. See you in a minute. So this perk activates at the start of the map for 2 minutes, and then poof, it goes away. The first 80 to 100 seconds of that is going to be survivors doing generators and the survivor being chased. So, for let's say the first at least 80, but generally you'll get 2 gens pop. So, let's say anywhere from 80 to 100 seconds is going to be spent on immediate gen time, and the killer is going to be in a chase with the survivor because, well, it's beginning game. That's just how the game flow goes. By the time the killer knocks down and hooks a particular survivor, it should be in upwards of like 100 seconds. That gives you 20 seconds left of actual perk use. So right off the bat, this perks really isn't that usable, and it's very niche. Because, I mean, if a survivor spawns right next to a totem, that totem's going to be destroyed. So any other perks that you have, except for, Hex Pentimento, of course, that benefits from it. Any other hex perks that you're running or anything like that, you're literally, letting the survivors get a jump on you. So if you're running Noad, for example, at the beginning of the match, having every, totem lit up shows survivors where they are, makes them easier to spot, etc., etc. So, I mean, you are assuming that you want survivors to break totems. But on the same note, if you're trying to get like a haunted grounds activation, this is going to be bad because every single totem on the map's lit. So they're just going to go around on a breaking spree saying, yep, I got that one, I got that one, and I got that one. And that's going to create a problem. Also, Hex Undying is a thing. Why would I light every single dull totem and then get a very short 4-second aura reveal on survivors after they break my Hex totem, when I can just use Hex Undying, and if a survivor does find it at the beginning, boom, it goes away, and then it gets relit somewhere else that's better. Instead of implementing Kreusa's Curse, this way I would recommend implementing it in another way that makes it usable. And possibly even, since it is kind of weak in what it does, giving you also some sort of passive that you can run, so it's useful throughout the entire map. I mean, just make it, any totems that are being destroyed, survivors' auras revealed to killer for 4 seconds. Make that on like any hex totem. Heck, make it any totem at all. I mean, totems, they take a long time to do, but if a or if a totem's blessed or blessed wouldn't be good. But if any totem's destroyed, definitely make the aura reveal on that. That'll be a trigger that'll last all map. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any other perk in Dead by Daylight, to my knowledge, that shows the aura of survivors once they break a totem. And then there you go. It has its primary functions to protect you at the beginning of a trial, but it also has a secondary function that makes it useful all the way throughout the match. It's only totem wise, so it's still going to be a weak perk, but at least it can continue its momentum as opposed to just dying after 2 minutes. Alright, critical fish. We cool now. I'll do one last concept. New killer, the hazard. Killer data, mutated blighted man wearing a cloak and vest. His main weapon is a shovel. The blight with a shovel. Speed. Default. Tear radius, default. Height, tall. Primary powers, landmine. Ho 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 ho. The hazard gets 4 landmines that can be placed on any surface? Any surface? Okay. Define to me what any surface means. Because this could be real good, or this could be real bad. Or real broken, I should say. Well, I mean, if it can be placed on walls and things like that, one, it's not actually a landmine. It becomes either a proximity mine or a sticky explosive or a C4 or nitroglycerin or something like that, you know, with a detonator in it. An explosive compound of some sort. So if you do want to stick to surfaces, I wouldn't call it a land mine. Landmines, as everybody knows, are generally triggered when something steps on them. But anyway, it's just me harping over something minor. By holding mouse 2. All right. I'm done. Give me a second. All right. Now, when it comes to setting up controls and things like that, you got to keep in mind that, and I ain't been saying this recently, but I need to start saying it again. When you're talking about Dead by Daylight's on more consoles than PC. Somebody that strictly plays console sees M2 and they're like, what is that? I know it stands for mouse 2, but you really need to put it down by holding, you know, power button or, you know, active ability button, things like that, whatever the actual button is when you're writing these concepts, just to make it easier for everybody, you know, that's actually reading your concept. So they don't have to say, you know, what is M2? Looking at their PlayStation controller. I have an L2 and I have an R2, or I have an LT and RT. What is MB? Or M1 or M2? Something small to harp about, but you'd be surprised how many people that I've accidentally, when I use keyboard and mouse, and they're like, well, what button's this? And I'm like, oh, it's R. And they're like, I'm using a controller, idiot. And I'm like, well, I can't help you. But there you go. But after holding the power button for 1 second, landmines make a small beeping noise once they're placed. Okay? That can be heard within a 3-meter radius of them, though it is incredibly quiet outside of a 1-meter radius. Okay, makes sense. Once all 4 are placed, no more can be put down until they are detonated. Detonated, huh? Can you blow them up on your own or just after they're triggered? Triggered and detonated. Landmines can be picked back up by clicking power button while standing on top of them. Okay. I would personally use the interaction button. like sort of like the trapper. You and put one down, and then you can pick one up by doing the thing. It just stops you from if you wanting to put multiple mines back to back or in a small area, like for example, kill shack. You want to put one on pallet and put one on window. It stops you from accidentally picking one up when you're trying to put two down. While standing on top of them. That also assumes that the killer can stand on top of their own landmine and there's no other penalty. The hazard can see the auras of all placed landmines in white. There it is. All landmines can be detonated by holding control for 0.5 seconds. This does not slow the hazard. 0.5 seconds. Hmm. 0.5 seconds. Well, let's see. 0.5 seconds, a survivor can move 2 meters. In that time, the explosion covers a 2-meter radius, injuring any survivor within that range while also breaking any nearby pallets and breakable walls. So 0.5 seconds is technically enough time for a survivor that is standing on said landmine to escape. But if they're running through the particular landmine, they can never escape. So as soon as they're on the outside radius of it, if they have to cross through it or around it, they're going to get hit majority of the time. But if they're stepping right on the particular landmine, they can get out of the radius. So it's going to take a survivor 1 full second to get through it and a half a second to get out of it. 0.5 seconds. That'll have to probably be revamped and redone public test beta wise. But that's very close. Welcome back, Galanonim. If the hazard is within detonation range, you will be exploded and launched forwards at 245% speed, 9.8 meters per second. Thank you for putting the speed down afterwards, and not a lot of people do that. For up to 3 seconds. Though both basic attack and power button can cancel it. Turning is not compromised by this. Once this launch ends, the hazard falls into the ground for 1 second before getting up, taking a total of 2.5 seconds before he can move again. Very well detailed. He can attack during the launch, but doing so will result in the same stun time regardless if the attack hit or missed. Landmines can be disabled for 30 seconds by survivors by doing a 3-second channel with 2 difficult skill checks. It's actually impossible to fit 2 difficult skill checks in a 3-second channel unless you're doing it like the glyphs where it's just skill check after skill check after skill check. So I would rather set it up like a glyph and kind of list that somewhere there. Or I would just make it 1 tremendously difficult skill check as opposed to 2. It's just not enough time. Missing a skill check will cause the landmine to detonate, injuring the survivor if they were healthy, or breaking the survivor for 40 seconds if they are injured. This cannot down a survivor. Well then that's easy. If a survivor's being chased and you see that there's a mine in your cross map, just blow it up. If they can't down you, except for, add-ons and things like that, that's going to be an easy exploit. Survivors are just going to literally voluntarily blow themselves up. They're going to walk over, touch your landmine, and then keep moving. It's going to go boom. They're going to be cross map, and they're not going to have to worry about a dang thing. Add-ons, I generally don't go over. Sometimes I go over the iridescent ones. Now, the question that I have about the particular thing is when you could say the landmine can be placed on all surfaces. I'm going to assume that you mean like it can be placed on the ground, it can be placed on hills, it can be placed on steps, anything that's, horizontal that it can sit on. It can be placed on. Now, if it can be placed on, the ceiling and, the sides of walls and everything else, I have a different opinion towards all of this than regular. Because seeing a landmine on the ground, it's like seeing a trapper's trap. You kind of see it or you don't. It being on the wall, that's going to catch you off guard if you walk into a room and it's just there. You're probably going to take that L, especially if you're being chased and it gets detonated on you. Iridescent wire. We're looking at place landmine. Its aura goes from white to red. Detonating will only detonate landmines shown in red. Only one landmine can be shown in red at the time. That's not bad. Scorched gas increases the radius of a landmine by 2 meters. Landmines detonate immediately upon pressing control. I think that's the secondary power button. Survivors hit by a landmine are hindered by 15% for 5 seconds, but not injured. Increases the radius at which the beeping emitting from the landmines can be heard by 3 meters. I'm not gonna lie. I figured one of your iridescent add-ons would generally be the landmine blows itself up after like 1 second after being set off. Or something like that. I'm actually surprised you didn't make an iridescent add-on to make a landmine an actual landmine. Scourge hook, methodical. Despite your circumstance, you haven't forgotten how to keep track of things at the start of a trial. Scourge hooks. When you hook a survivor on a scourge hook, you can see the auras of all survivors who have interacted with a totem within the past 60 seconds until that survivor is unhooked. Very situational, and by situational I mean like in-game situational. It'll stop you, or it'll save you from anybody taking out Noad, or mid-game it'll stop you or help stop somebody from taking out Devour of Hope, something like that. Very situational. It's not bad, but it's very situational. Also, seeing the auras of survivors who have interacted with the totem until that survivor is unhooked is kind of gnarly. That means there's no escape for anybody actually trying to be a team player and taking out hex totems. Definitely needs a finite time limit on that. Because generally, if somebody's destroying a totem and let's say it's haunted grounds or something like that, just knowing that they're not working on generators is enough to just let that kind of go. You just sit and camp somebody. Again, I'm going to bring up my old classic example of Bubba in the basement. I hook somebody in basement and I see that there's people out there working on totems and things like that and not doing generators. I know I have a significant more amount of time. And I also have vision the entire time of that 2 minutes where this person's hooked. And if nobody wants to come down in the basement, I now have a second target that I can go after, that I can always see until they unhook the other person. And as I'm going after this particular person, if I know that their auras, disappeared, that the person's been unhooked. I mean, obviously you get the notification and all of that, but a little bit different. I'll be back in a second. Oh boy. Maybe I won't go over everything. uh, vehement, 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 vehement. Don't know how to pronounce said word.
Vehement.
Vehement, vehement. When a hex totem is cleansed, this perk gains 2 tokens, maximum of 4. 1 token is lost each time a survivor is healed. Interesting. 1 token, all survivors have a 20% reduction in vaulting speeds. That is huge. 2 tokens, all survivors that are repairing, cleansing, or sabotaging have their auras revealed for as long as they're doing that task. 3 tokens, all survivors that are healing, searching, or mending have their auras revealed as long as they're doing that outside your terror radius. And 4, all injured survivors are mangled. Okay. Behemoth, as we learned how to pronounce that word. You can't use a perk and have a weakness and have the perk cover that particular weakness. That's not how that works. Or at least that's not how balancing works. When a hex totem is cleansed, so this is not a hex totem on its own, this is just a regular perk, so this can never be deactivated. When a hex totem is cleansed, this perk gains 2 tokens. But survivors only get 1 token lost whenever a survivor is healed. And you have a significant amount of just aura reading and reduction in speeds and all of that. 20% reduction vaulting speed turns a running vault essentially into a very slow medium vault. Everybody knows if you medium vault, you get bopped. That's just the rule. If you medium vault, expect to hit. That's just the end of it. So you have taken away the abilities of survivors to fast vault, which means they're going to be taking a lot more hits on any type of vaults that they do, regardless of how good they're good at running loops. Survivors that are repairing, cleansing, or sabotaging have their auras revealed as long as they're doing the task. You have to have totems cleansed in order for this perk to get power. So why would you want to or need to see that survivors are cleansing totems and or hex totems? Sabotage wise, why do you need to see if a particular survivor is sabotaging a hook or not? there's no point. The only time that they really should be sabotaging Hook is if, well, they have a challenge for it. And if you're carrying a survivor. There are perks already that exist that shows the auras of any survivor near a hook. So you're actually just adding in that particular perk to your huge overall perk. The survivors that are repairing auras are revealed to you as long as they're doing a task. So any survivor around the particular map that's doing a generator, their auras are going to be shown to you. I mean, that on its own is a problem. You literally have full map coverage at essentially all times. All you have to do is just throw out a Hex Undying, and boom. That's an activation there. And then boom, there's another activation there. That's all you gotta do is run Hex Undying with this. Well, you'd have to run Hex Undying and another Hex, because if you take out Hex Undying, its effect goes away. So Hex Undying and Hex Haunted Grounds. Let's say you ran those two with that. You could get a double exposure. Plus you're taking out Hex Undying and Haunted Ground. So that's 2 minutes of exposure. 4 tokens on your perk. You'll have all these effects in 120 seconds throughout the game of Haunted Ground exposure. Keep in mind that this particular perk works on other killers, and that's what I'm about ready to come to. You only lose a token whenever a survivor is healed. Any killer that has a 1-hit down can literally just walk over, 1-hit down said survivor, pick them up, and put them directly on a hook. Once that survivor is pulled off of said hook, the only way they can heal is sitting there for 16 seconds and letting another survivor heal them, running a syringe, which still takes roundabouts of like 15 seconds to heal and run. Or if you somehow made a mistake and let them heal, they can use other healing perks or inner strength or something like that. What I'm trying to get to the point of here is it takes time for a survivor to heal. And if you are camping and using your aura reading that you'll have after you zone them to take out your particular hex perks, you can literally just run in with a chainsaw like it's Bubba, down them, hook them. As soon as they're taken down from the hook, down them again, hook them again. And it just becomes a tunneling thing. If you do lose 1 token, it doesn't matter. All injured survivors are mangled. That's not that big of a deal to lose. It's not that powerful. Yeah, they have a 50% healing speed reduction. Oh no, that's gonna be gone. It doesn't matter. All survivors healing, searching, or mending have their auras revealed for as long as they're doing the task outside of your tear radius. This is essentially Nurse's Calling, but it's the opposite. Having this isn't necessarily going to ruin you and your gameplay and everything like that if you lose 2 tokens. And that's 2 survivors being healed. It's not going to ruin you if you lose the 3 and 4 token thing. The important thing to have in this perk is the vaulting speeds and then the ability to know exactly where survivors are and what actions that they are doing, repairing, cleansing, or sabotaging. If they're cleansing, you really don't need to know because that's more power in your hands. But I guess if you have Devour of Hope or something like that and you don't want that going, you could potentially run over and get rid of that situation. But I mean, you really don't need cleansing or sabotaging. There's perks and things for that. It's the repair speed and the reduction in vaulting speed, which gives you easy claps. So Vehement needs to definitely be reworked. It needs to be rejumbled. I don't know why at the base you get 20% reduction in vaulting speeds and then all injured survivors are mangled at 4. the maximum amount of tokens. The strongest thing should be towards the bottom, and the weaker things should be up towards the top. And then obviously you're going to have to pull this apart and rebalance the entire equation. Hex diffusion, your job was to both light the fuse and pull it out. Put it out. Wait, what? Your job was to both light the fuse and pull it out. Oh, gotcha. Put it out, not pull it out. Put it out. Why would you light the fuse on, let's say, dynamite and then immediately put it out? That's why I was confused. Your job is to both light the fuse and then put the fuse out. Holy. For each positive effect a survivor has, you gain a 5% speed increase. I already know. No, 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 no. All it takes is one boon totem with Circle of Healing, and they'll have to run Boon Exponential, and if they decide to run Shadow Step, that's a 15% increase in speed per survivor that walks through a boon totem. That is ridiculous. And if you find all survivors in one boon totem, holy, that's what, 15, 30, 60% increase in speed. That's ridiculous. When you hit a survivor with a basic or special attack, they lose all positive effects, and the duration of negative effects they have is increased by 12 seconds. Why not just have that as the perk? Hex diffusion. When you hit a survivor with a basic attack, probably not special attack because Trickster and all, they lose. Oh, well, I guess Trickster's effect doesn't actually activate until you get that hit from the 8th kunai going into you. So I guess that's not necessarily true. I guess it can work on special attacks. Huntress would be OP with this perk is essentially what I'm saying. Anything that has a ranged attack. When you hit a survivor, I would say with a basic attack, they lose all positive effects, and any negative effects they have are extended by 12 seconds. That would be cool. Just having the end of that. The speed increase is kind of ridiculous. Especially on a speedy boy. Survivor perks. Mania. For 4 seconds after a survivor is hooked, you run at 150% speed. After these 4 seconds, you're exhausted. Exhaustion does not recover while running. This cannot be used while exhausted. I mean, it's another sprint burst perk that activates when the survivor's hooked. So, I mean, yeah. You really can't say that it's not balanced or anything like that because it exists with everything else. I would think 3 seconds? It might be 4 seconds. I don't know. I don't use sprint burst. I don't know how long that is. Sprint burst could be 5 seconds of running speed. I thought it was 3 seconds by base, though. But I haven't level 3'd my sprint burst in a long time. A long, long time. Wayward Whim. Oh, what I'm essentially saying mania-wise is just balance into all the other rest of the perks that are like that. Wayward Whim. Once every 20 seconds, the ore of one random generator, totem, hook, or chase that's over 24 meters from you is shown to you. Generator, totem, hook, or chest. Let's just do the math on this one. There are 7 generators, 5 totems, over 20 hooks, and depending on the map, 5 or more chests. So hooks are going to proc the most often because there's more hooks than anything in a particular map. And if a hook procs, you're going to be upset. If a hook doesn't proc, it's going to be a chest. And if it is a positive chest, it's probably going to be a chest that's on the opposite side of the map or in Kill Shack or somewhere where you're not known. It says it has to be that's over 24 meters from you is shown to you. So there you go. Random generators. Generators really aren't that hard to find, except for a select few maps. If you're new to the game, like Midwich, people can get confused on finding maps there. And that's just because the spawn location of generators aren't on a horizontal plane, they go horizontal and vertical, i.e. they can spawn anywhere in that area on the same floor or the floor below it, or above it, which makes Midwich hard for most people. For the next 15 seconds, you repair, cleanse, sabotage, and search objects 50% fast. What? Wait, what? Objects shown by this perk are marked on a map if you're holding one. That's not necessarily good because it can show the same item or object multiple times. Rare, but it can. So every 20 seconds, you're getting a 50% repair speed for 15 seconds. That is insane. You would be flying through generators. Let's see, that's 15. You would get less than 4 activations on a generator. So every 20 seconds, you would get a 7.5% increase over a 50% increase over 15 seconds. I would have to type this out. If anybody knows the math for this, please give it to me. So every 20 seconds, you would have plus 50% speed. So you would be taking the generator. So you would be doing 2 seconds. Okay. You'd be doing 2% per second. That'd be 1.5 per second. Okay, well, that's simpler math. So for every 20 seconds that it procs, for the next 15 seconds after that 20 seconds, you'll be doing generators at 1.5 ticks per second. So narrowing that down and simplifying that, you would have 40 seconds of regular time that you're waiting, which would be 50%. And then the next 15 seconds after that, you would be able to do 15 plus 7, 23%. Yeah, 15 plus 7 is 20. No, it's 22. 15 plus 7 is 22. See? 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 That's why I always do things twice. So 22% is how much you would put in a generator those 15 seconds that you're getting allowed to do 1.5. So 22 and 22 is 42. So it actually would be less than 2 activations. Alright, so you're only adding about 2-ish or so percent in the long run, rather than sitting there and working and doing things like that. So you're actually only getting 5 extra seconds at 1.5%. So it's not as bad as it looks. Gotcha. I should have probably have done this math and actually showed you what I was trying to do in my head, but essentially I just simplified it. After 20 seconds, you're buff for the next 15 seconds. But if you just cut out, the fat and you take, well, instead of it being 20 seconds, 15 of those 20 seconds, you're at 1.5. You just need to find out how much efficiency you're getting at the 1.5 times the 15 seconds. Then the extra 5 seconds where you don't have the buff doesn't really matter in this situation, which gives you your base, as opposed to writing it out and doing it long math style. Live stream calculations. Regardless, let's move on. Your movements during a trial are so erratic, not even your own aura can keep up. When your aura is shown to the killer, this perk activates. While this perk is active, your aura will randomly appear and disappear anywhere within 24 meters of you, and random intervals between 0.5 seconds and 2 seconds. I would just prefer to use the perk to where my aura can't be read at all, personally, instead of having my aura show up at random locations that are near me. 24 meters in that situation is way too much. You definitely need to scrunch that together, because the whole point of that is just allowing you time to escape and or hide without the killer knowing exactly which direction you're going. It's like a chafe effect. Or a fog effect. It kind of distorts, vision to where you can't narrow it down exactly to where it needs to be. I can't talk today. I just woke up for the most part, and I also smell the food that I cooked in the other room. I am distracted. Mad distracted. Romanian survivor / killer idea. I think this is going to be the last one I do. I can do these other two tomorrow, and that'll probably be the thing that I do for a while. So you get your concept up, Galanonim, and all of that. Survivor, Andrea Dimico. Romania. Vlad. That would actually be amazing to see Vlad in Dead by Daylight. Oh man, somebody needs to make this happen. Somebody actually needs to make that happen. Why haven't we been using historical figures that were known for things in Dead by Daylight? We've missed the open market. Perks. Hunter or hunted. The killer leaves scratch marks. You don't need license for history figures. And yeah, that would be awesome. Exactly. If we just pulled from a source that we actually have, the stories, the legends, and things like that, lore wise, and got away from licensed content, we could add so many more well known killers, and you wouldn't even have to worry about it. What are you gonna do? Sue you? Yeah, like Jack the Ripper. And as we're talking about, Vlad the Impaler. Yup. Yup. So many historical things. And you can go back from medieval times to around Roman times to even Egypt, where, they had, curses and sun gods and plagues and things like that. I mean, technically, I don't think the plague, maybe she was from Egypt because she was kind of mummified. I never read her backstory because I hate her with every fiber of my being. But, like the plague, you can go back to Egypt and get killers like that. You can look into American and Japanese, folklore, pull killers from that, and you could really extend this game out. Which, if they use the alternative killer system I'm trying to make, they could really implement them. Kind of makes you wonder why they don't implement, the well known people or well known traditions and things like that. Hmm. Hunter or hunted, the killer leaves scratch marks? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because every survivor or even a gank squad or anything like that if they can see killer stretch marks, they'll be able to tell when the killer's going around a specific wall, etc., etc. Because scratch marks show in front of you. Like they show out in front of you as you're running through, as opposed to being behind you. I mean, yeah, the killer has a red stain, which I mean would be completely useless in some situations, but imagine if it's a stealth killer, and everywhere that poor killer goes, they're leaving scratch marks. I would lose my actual mind playing Ghostface, and everybody can just see me, coloring the skylight as I go through. Coloring the ground, the walls, everything. Blood sacrifice. If Andrea is injured while standing near a downed survivor, he gets a X% more haste and X% more movement speed. Also not making any noise while vaulting fastly over a pallet or through a window for 5 seconds. Well, that's quick and quiet. And then why would you be standing near a downed survivor and need haste and movement speed? I don't understand. Why are you standing near a downed survivor and not helping them up? There you go. It would be okay if it worked when there's only a killer tear radius. That wouldn't be too bad. Kind of feel bad for Michael Myers in that aspect, though. He would get hard countered by that. Just like you're either staying tier 1 or you're putting on a light show, buddy. Since he's at decreased speed till tier 3. Well, tier 2 he gets regular speed and all of that, but he's at decreased speed until tier 2. He's kind of screwed. Danged if you do, danged if you don't. Scratch mirror would be fine, though. But regular Michael Myers would be a pain. I would also like to limit scratch marks and, well, the amount of time the killer scratch marks would pop up for one. That would have to definitely, which it says the scratch marks stay for 4, 6, and 12 seconds, but you would definitely want to limit that down. I mean, regular scratch marks only stay for 10 seconds. For them staying for 12 seconds is kind of ridiculous by base. I definitely only let killer scratch marks stay for about 4 seconds or so. That sounds about right. You can see which direction they're headed in, and then they disappear. Blood sacrifice just has me question marking. If you minus the quick and quiet that comes at the end with them being able to fast vault through everything without noise or sound, why are you standing over a downed survivor? And why do you need haste and speed? Distraction. If 2 of his teammates get downed or hooked, Andrea lets out a blood-curdling scream, pulling the attention on him. Press a button for scream. So you have 2 teammates downed, or two teammates on a hook, which means they're probably snowball affecting anyway. And you're wanting to scream and let the killer know that, hey, I'm over in this area. What? I mean, me personally, I'd be like, thanks for letting me know where you're coming from. And I would continue to stand and camp the 2 people I have on hooks. I'm not going to leave my position. And distraction, instead of holding a button to make you scream, why don't you just hop in and out of a locker? Just keep hopping in and out of a locker. They'll get the same notification over and over and over. And that takes the place of that perk. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but you definitely don't need any type of alertion to the killer when you can just do that by, vaulting a window over and over, jumping in and out of a locker, things like that. Killer Strigoi? Oh, Nick, wait, what? Killer Strigoi, oh, Strigoi, Romania. was ready to say, okay, his name's Nikolai. Okay, 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 I got it. I was like, what? Okay, cool. Um, why ain't you up here? Way up here. Perks. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys have any. Oh, he doesn't have idea for perks. Gotcha. Oh, then what's his power? He was shy. Indeed. Vampire. Gotcha. He's a vampire. Well, he was made into a vampire. Which is where this picture comes from. Yeah, good luck making a vampire concept. Good luck there, Trickster's husband. Wait, what a name. What a name indeed. I've went through 16 different vampire concepts from the time I started this to the time now. I think I've read and even suggested about every way you can work that. Well, it's only been an hour. Now what am I supposed to do? I originally decided I was going to do everything. I mean, I guess I could still go over the last two concepts, but hmm, do I extend content out another day or do I do it all now? Hmm, I guess I could do two a day blacklist, Splinter Cell wise, and just run those. I'd beat the game extremely fast, though. I don't know. What are you thinking, Galanonim? Should I wait till tomorrow to do these concepts or should I cover them now? Pretty sure I've done the last couple of pages. Those are just outfits. I do need to go back and do that one. Mm, depends if I feel like it. Now that's a generic answer. Fair enough, though. Fair enough. Yeah, I've covered. You were forced to do it. It's better to go back to it later. True. You're correct. Well, fan-made DLC, The Fall of a Nurse. This one I've been meaning to do for a little bit of time. It's not even that long. I've been forgetting about it. Ugh. I can't help but in this question. Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot. Ugh. We'll go over this and I'll call it because I have been pushing this one back. Fanmate DLC: The Fall of a Nurse. Survivor: Elena Carlson. American female. The dedicated nurse. Interesting that you're going to pull a nurse already. If we have the premium nurse. I usually wait the longest I can. Then I have to do everything in a short period of time. Procrastination. Pretty good. Great motivation boost, not gonna lie. Procrastination, sometimes is good. Generally, when the body procrastinates something, it's letting you know that, hey, I need a little bit more recreation in my life before I can build up to actually doing this particular thing in front of me. Generally, if you make yourself, happier, or you get yourself into one of those better moods, you can just go through and clean everything up. Or if you wait to the last moment and you go into that, I gotta get this done now type thing, sometimes that's motivation. Like you said, just to straight go in there and be like, oh, I gotta get this done now. I don't have any more time. It's gotta be done. But generally, procrastination comes from a lack of recreation. So if you ever see you find yourself, like trying to, focus on working on something, and your mind just keeps drifting off, and you find yourself, or your body's essentially forcing you to play a video game or go for a walk or read a book, and you're trying to really focus. I mean, it is your brain and everything telling you that, hey, I don't want to focus on this right now. I'm feeling left out. Something inside of me is feeling empty. My gauge is low. We can come back to this later on. And it's fun, to go and do a little bit of recreation, go watch a short movie or something or anything like that, or play a game for a little bit. It's when you forget and your recreation time goes beyond just, fulfilling your base recreation. And you get to 120% recreation and it's 8 hours later and you're like, oh, crap. That's when there's a problem. But I generally, if I find myself not wanting to do something, I'll go ahead and go do something else or take a nap or something. And I'll just set an alarm. And as soon as the alarm gets up, I know what I have to do next. All right, let's get back to doing this. I work on it for as long as I generally can. And when I feel myself drifting off, generally, a couple of hours, sometimes like 8 or 12 hours, depending on, how interested I am in something. I then sit my pencil down and I go off and do something. Just keep taking breaks every once in a while to reset yourself. But that's what works personally for me, and that's what's recommended in psychology. Is just to take periodic breaks and not try to force something all at once. But again, some people like to work under pressure. They do better work, and they need to feel that pressure. So, I mean, to each their own. Backstory. I don't generally read backstory. I know she's a female American, a dedicated nurse. Good luck is all I have to say trying to top the already ever present nurse, who I think still is the number one killer in Dead by Daylight. Perk. There's not even a power here. It's just perks. I guess they kind of figured it out that, hey, it's nurse. I can't beat nurse. Here's perks. Anesthetics. I hate working under pressure, to be honest, but in the times like this, it's hard to find time to work without pressure. That's true, especially at the time in life you are, with your internship and schooling and everything else going on. I believe it. But it's also good to work under pressure. You can find out more about yourself, whether or not, particular jobs are right for you or if you're going to enjoy doing said job. How, if you need to set aside an extra 10 to 15 minutes when you're doing things and you need to take whether breaks or whether you can work through the pressure or anything like that. I can tell you one thing, you don't want to be out in the field getting shot at and figure out what your breaking point is. You want to know what your breaking point is before that. And I have seen that personally. Somebody just turn into a ball, curl into a ball, suck their fingers, roll back and forth, and scream for their mommy and say they don't want to die and a whole bunch of other things. Then having to return fire while babysitting at the same time. You don't want somebody to find out they break under pressure easy in times like that. It's a terrible experience for everybody. Anesthetics while healing another survivor. Oh, this is a survivor? Fanmate DLC, The Fall of a Nurse. This is a survivor, not a killer. Hmm. Survivor nurse. While healing another survivor, you can press the active ability button to apply a numbing solution to temporarily give the survivor an extra health state. We call that the endurance status effect, I think. While active, the survivor can heal up to full health, but will deactivate the extra health state. After being injured again, the perk deactivates. Otherwise, aesthetics will remain active for 60 seconds before their health falls down to the injured state. This ability has a cooldown of 120 seconds. It does sound like a nerfing patch. I actually thought about that too, the fall of the nurse. That would be actually hilarious. I could see an article being wrote saying the fall of the nurse and then talking about how they nerfed her. Hilarious. Uh, Anesthetics obviously is just an extended endurance perk that lasts 60 seconds. That's all it is. Borrowed time used to last for around that time after you get pulled down. People started body blocking and doing all kinds of crazy things, so they had to nerf it down to its time now, which I found out yesterday or the day before is longer than I thought it was. I thought it was like 8 seconds, but it's actually like 12 seconds. It's wild. So yeah, obviously no. If you look up borrowed time used to last a considerably longer amount of time than it does now when they had to nerf that. Code Blue. At the verge of someone's death, you kick into full gear to save them. When another survivor within 32 meters of you is downed, you gain a health state. If injured and your altruistic action speed is increased by 25%. These both will last for 60 seconds and can stack in that period. Instead of Code Blue giving you a health state when a survivor within 32 meters of you is down, I would say you should get the health state after healing them. And I know there are perks that as you heal somebody, you get 50% of the efficiency of that heal. But if you mix Code Blue, the reason I say that is because if multiple people are running Code Blue and one guy gets knocked down and everybody else that's sitting around them in a particular group, a gank squad or anything like that, are all going to go up to full health. And if you knock somebody else down, the person in a dying state's going to stand back up and everybody else is going to go up to full health. And they're all just going to keep taking hits for each other as you're trying to carry that person to a hook, because if you knock one down, the rest are just going to heal up. And it's just going to be a chain of gank squad people blocking you, body blocking you, getting hit, body blocking you, getting hit. You down one, the next one body blocks you and gets a hit. Their healing speed and all that's increased by 25% so they can pick somebody else off the ground very quickly while the other people are taking hits. And they're just going to keep healing in a circle as this happens, because you have other healing effects and things like that that'll stack with that. So you're gonna have almost immediate heal, especially with med kits and everything else. And as you're knocking people down as a killer, you're also healing other people. So it's heavily exploited. I wouldn't give it the health state to them or anything like that until they are actively trying to revive the person and they have successfully picked that person up. Then you can think about protecting them. As sort of like an anti-tunneling perk as opposed to a heavily exploitable perk. Make it last. You're used to working on bare minimum and will use whatever you can to keep going. If holding an item, you're able to pick up another item. Another dual item perk. You're also able to take the charges from that item on the ground and put it into your item. The ability transfers 100% of the charges. So you're telling me that I can just bring an Uber flashlight or Uber medkit or something like that with reduced charges. I can use that medkit to, wham, bam, kazam, heal myself or somebody else, then immediately go to a chest, pick up another item, and then transfer the charges of that item into my super item. Or have a friend just bring a crappy medkit or the commodious medkit that has like 32 charges, and I can run everything a super med kit with the thing that gives you the considerable amount of repair speed and reduces it by 8 charges. And just have them drop it for me. And as I use my greater med kit, refill it with the other med kit. Use the greater med kit again, refill it with another med kit. Then use build the last on top of that to just keep replenishing this particular med kit over and over and over. But that's just phase one. Most people are like, man, it's just a med kit, built the last exists, etc., etc. Now, let me turn your attention to using this perk against the key. A key, as many knows, at great use of key, you can see the killer's location. There's a limit on distance. I think it's like 32 meters or something like that. There is a limit on distance, however. The ability to always read the killer's aura. And you take a med kit and you can just keep putting time into your key and keep using it and keep using it and keep using it, then build the last it. Or find another item anywhere on the map and keep using the charges on this key to where you constantly get killer aura view. If you use your key and the killer's not nearby, you're safe to repair a generator. If you see that a killer's coming or you hear a terror radius, you just activate the key. You can see which way they're going and you can go the opposite way. You'll always have aura reading. You'll never have to worry about, running into a situation to where you don't know where the killer's moving at. And you can just keep using charges from the other item that you have to keep replenishing your key. That's where the issues are going to come into this perk. You're going to have to make a very complicated list of how charges are transferred versus rarities and things like that. If I'm using a key with aura reading that tremendously uses it, but the key only has 8 seconds, I think that you should lose 8 seconds or 8 charges per medkit per 1 second on the key or something like that. And you're going to have to balance every single item to where everything's balanced and making it use sense like that. But you're also able to use 2 items, so the efficiency of the second item that you use is going to have to go down as well because you have 2 items. So you're going to have a massive headache of paperwork, balancing, and everything else to do. You're going to have to spend time making a spreadsheet and doing all of that craziness. That's a lot of work, right? For just one perk. That's why I do these and I say, no, it's a bad idea because behavior is going to have to do this. I talk about the small things that most people miss when they're making their particular perks. The implementation of that perk's going to be whoo, just whoo. That's scary. The amount of work's gonna have to go into it. And it's just to make you be able to pick up a second item and use one item into the other item. Scary. Alright. I do actually have food that's done now. Like actually sitting in there. Probably burnt. Who knows? I set a timer on the thing. It should have turned off, but you know how electronics are sometimes. I'm going to go and eat. An hour and a half seems reasonable for the day. And I will be back tomorrow to maybe later on today. I don't know. Depends on how I feel. Probably tomorrow though, because I still got to do the Splinter Cell stream. So, thanks for stopping by. Good to see you as always, Galanonim. I'll be eagerly awaiting your concept and all of that. I'm going to head off for the day. Hope everything goes well. Get everything done. If you gotta procrastinate, I mean, you gotta procrastinate. Just make sure everything gets done and it's of acceptable quality when putting in. I mean, you are investing into your future right now. So do it right the first time, god dang it. But anyway, I'm going to eat. And I don't even know what else I'm going to do during the day. I might actually take another nap. But regardless, supplement your lifestyle and have a good day. I'll see you next time. See ya. Long as I barely make it, it's okay. But I don't care if I am 1% over the line that passes. As long as I pass, dang it. I will cross the other bridges when I get to it. Ah, I was like that too. I ain't gonna lie. Well, I was like that until I went to technical school. I was very serious about technical school, but I mean, I had a lot of people supporting me at the time, so I kind of couldn't take my time and actually do things. I had to really apply myself. And that still only get me a 3.5 GPA. I would have had a 4.0, but roommates are stupid. And they made me miss days and we had to move out because they thought it would be smart to sell drugs from our apartment. Guess what? It didn't work out. And guess what? My state law says that if you allow somebody to stay in your place, even though it was through collegiate housing, which is, the housing thing through the college, you can't evict them because we're still technically paying the bills. So they had to evict all of us to evict them. They went back home. I got relocated to another place. I didn't have a car or anything at the time, so I had to carry everything from one house to the other house. I ended up leaving like a huge TV at the other place because I had no way of transferring it. I ended up leaving a $1,000 BMX bike because the new place didn't have any room for it because I moved in with other roommates and all of that. I ended up leaving a lot of things at the old apartment, and it still kind of makes me sad to this day. But it is what it is. I'm not going to jail for somebody else being an idiot and trying to sell drugs from the apartment. See, everybody that lived in these apartment complexes, for the most part, went to the same school. You can only sell drugs to people so long until somebody gets mad at you for whatever reason and then goes and snitches on you. It's why when you sell drugs and stuff, you sell them to people you don't know, not to friends, because friends will turn around and screw you over if they don't feel like you're appreciating them. Or if you don't cut them that one cheap deal that one time they ask. Mm. But I mean, that's them. I was safe. I'm like, nah, bruh. Put me in a different apartment. I'm good. Like, I ain't going to jail with them. I'm not involved with any of that. I tried to kick them out. Indiana state law said I couldn't, so I said, okay, go ahead and send us all, evict us all. I'll go to a new place. I don't care. I'll leave my expensive crap behind. It's better than going to jail. But anyway, that's just a small insight into my college days. I ended up losing my 4.0 GPA. It went down to 3.5 because I had to deal with things for a couple of days. And my school had participation points, and or they called it professionalism points, where if your uniform wasn't perfect and you didn't show up on time and all of that, you got dock points. It was worth 20% of your grade. But I'm out of here now, actually, officially. See you later, Galanonim. Anybody else stops by, I'll see you guys later. I'm always supplementing my lifestyle. Try to find ways to supplement yours. See ya. It sucks to lose something because of their stupidity. Exactly, friend. Exactly. It does suck to lose something because of somebody else's stupidity. That's kind of the story of my life. Ooh. Remember these topics. We can talk about them tomorrow.